Welcome back, guys, and in today's video we're covering off on the most commonly asked questions by people looking to buy property in Victoria. We're going to be covering everything from as simple as what is a Section 32, what's the process in actually making an offer on a property in Victoria, what is the process when an agent is either selling a property prior to auction or doing a sale by fixed date, how does that process actually work, do you pay stamp duty when you buy the property or is it at settlement, when is the deposit actually due, what is a conveyancer and why do you need it, and finally, what is under contract? I get asked all the time, what is under contract? So we're going to cover that too. So let's start right from the beginning with the Section 32. Now the Section 32 is a document that you need that tells you everything you need to know about the property. Typically you want to have your conveyancer, which we'll cover later, look over this prior to purchasing a property. Now the Section 32 will cover everything from how much are the council rates, what are the water rates. The Section 32 also declares all of the negative things about the property. So if you're wanting to buy a property to build multiple units on it, you need to check the Section 32 to make sure there's not a single dwelling covenant, which is essentially an overlay council would put on the block to prevent you from building more than one house on that property. Moving on to the process involved in actually making an offer. So people ask me all the time, look, I want to make an offer, what is the actual process? Now, this varies depending on which agent you're speaking with. Some agents will actually make you fill out a contract of sale, which is the process that I follow here, and is the official way of making an offer in Victoria. Some agents though, however, will ask for what's called an expressions of interest. I feel like Dr. Evil there. Lasers. And expressions of interest is essentially where the agent says, just email me what you'd be prepared to offer. Now, this isn't actually a proper offer. In order to make an official offer, you need to fill out a contract of sale. That declares what the person's name is that's buying the property, you for example, your current address, how much you're offering, what the deposit is, when that deposit would be due, whether it's subject to finance, whether it's subject to a building and pest inspection, so conditions on the contract, and also the settlement date that you're proposing. So all of that information needs to be filled out on a contract of sale so that the owner actually has something to sign if they agree to your offer, for one, but two, to actually make it legally binding. If you just do an expressions of interest and you send through an email saying, I'm prepared to offer this, even if that agent has said that they've accepted your offer, if someone else comes and offers more, because it's not on a contract of sale, you can get gazumped, meaning that they sell it to the other buyer because there is no legal contract saying that you've actually bought the property. So what is the process in selling prior to an auction or selling a sale by fixed date? Now this changes from agency to agency as well. For example, if we are selling a property prior to auction or selling prior to a closing date, our process is the first person to make an acceptable offer to the owners gets the last right of reply. What that means is, let's say you offer $500,000, we will take that to the owner. If the owner says, oh my God, Andrew, I'm so thankful for the $500,000, don't forget the zeros. If they're happy with that offer, then we will put a closing date up of 3 days and ask everyone else that's interested to submit their highest and best offer. Because you have the last right of reply, that means you get to put your highest and best offer in once all the other buyers have done this. This is not the process for every agency. Some agencies will keep ringing back and forth between buyers saying there's a higher offer, there's a higher offer, turns into a bit of a silent auction. So you need to be incredibly clear on the process that that agent that you're buying the property from actually follows. That's going to put you in the best position when you're negotiating and making your offer. Do I pay stamp duty when I buy the property or at settlement? This is a pretty straightforward answer. It's always at settlement. When is the deposit due? Well, typically the deposit would be 10% of the purchase price and it would be due upon acceptance of the offer. However, it does depend what you fill in on the contract of sale. For example, if you're buying a property for $500,000, you may say to the agent, I only want to put down 5% as a deposit. And you can do that, it just needs to be specified in the contract of sale when you're making your offer initially. You may say that I'm putting down $10,000 upon acceptance and the balance of the 10% in 30 days. But the most common is 10% upon acceptance of the offer. What is a conveyancer? So a conveyancer, and I'm so glad that you asked, is essentially your legal representative. Yeah, that's right. Your conveyancer is essentially a lawyer who Your conveyancer is a lawyer who specializes specifically, that is a mouthful, in real estate. So they are actually your legal representative that will change the property from the owner's name into your name and transfer the funds to the seller on settlement day. They will also look over the contract of sale and the Section 32 or vendor statement. Vendor statement and Section 32 is the exact same thing, just two different names for the same thing. I don't really know why they do that, but That's what they do. So that conveyancer will look over all those details and point out anything that you need to know prior to buying the property. For example, I have bought a property in the past where the garage was built over the top of an easement. An easement is a pipe that runs under the ground that people may need access to if it gets blocked. Now, that's not necessarily a huge thing, but it's something you want to be aware of prior to buying the property. And finally, what does under contract mean? This is the question that I've wanted to answer for such a long time. Under contract, if you're ever looking on the internet and you see property for sale, and then you see under contract, that means that that property has been sold to a purchaser subject to conditions being met. For example, let's say I buy a property and I put on the contract subject to finance for 2 weeks. The property is sold to me, so it cannot be resold to anyone else, so they need to mark it under contract. And then once the 2 weeks goes by and my finance is approved, the property is then marked sold. So a lot of the time I'll get people inquiring on property saying, Andrew, I want to buy this property. What's the price? I noticed that it's under contract. Under contract means that the agent cannot resell the property unless the buyer's terms on the conditions are not met. For example, let's say the buyer didn't get their finance, but the property was subject to finance. It would come down from under contract and go back on the market for sale. That is the most commonly asked questions by buyers in Victoria. If you have a question, make sure to leave it in the comments down below. Give this video a like if it helped you out, and make sure to subscribe. As always, it always makes my day. Until next time, guys, keep watching.